Welcome to the Alchemist Show. This is a student-produced radio show by the digital media class at Perryville Area Career and Technology Center. On mic today is Molly Wood,
Kale Conti,
and Robert Gaddis.
Today we have for you as topic phones. I'm here to talk about Android to be particular. Their search engines now works like a Vulcan mind meld, eerily searching for flight reservations, sports scores, and more. Before you even think of them, and Android's contacts are laid out much better, smartly laid out to the people you call most. Managing photos, it's much better and cheaper experience on Android. It gives you a unlimited free storage, not like others. Android is far superior at organizing apps. Their widgets are more useful. Their keyboards are a lot better, including swipe gestures and most crucially punctuation on same screen as letters. When you choose an Android, it seems like you have an endless amount of choices, so you can make a phone that you want or fits you. Android allows expandable memory SD cards for really cheap without sending them off.
I don't know. I think that they're nice, but Apple products have been around for a long time. The most popular product has always been their iPhones. It seems like every year they have a new and improved iPhone that just keeps getting bigger or thinner. Not that I'm complaining. I still really want the 7 Plus. Apple's line of products has a pretty wide range outside of their phones. They also have watches and tablets and laptops, etc. So I think that Androids there's a lot of opportunity, but iPhones are just easier to use and understand.
Yes, because they're...
And faster and better camera quality, please.
And they have then they go really fast too. So yeah. What I think about Windows phones is what I've heard about Windows phones is they're not as popular as the Apple and the Android brand of phone. The first Windows phone came out in 2010, even though it was originally supposed to come out in 2009. They are based on the computer and all the other devices. You can use this phone for all sorts of things like multimedia, contacts, emails, games, and you can even hook it up to your Xbox Live games. In 2014, Windows Phone announced that they would add Internet Explorer to the App Store. They cost a lot less than the Apple and Android.
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't know that Windows phones existed. I don't know.
Actually, this is the same for me. I only found out that Windows Phone was a thing like a year or two ago, and they are. What I've seen that I guess they're good, but Windows doesn't beat Android or Apple.
Windows is just good for their computers.
Yeah, it's way better for that kind of stuff. Way better.
Windows Phone is for more like people that doesn't have just want something super simple and you can't get much on it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're more for old people who don't really care about anything.
People, yeah.
Don't care about the complicated stuff like us complicated teenagers.
I mean, it could be a starter phone for teenagers, but I don't know.
Maybe
iPhone is about the iPhone. You say it is simpler.
I just feel like they have everybody knows general knowledge on how to work an iPhone. It's pretty. Anytime I ever grab my friend's Android, I'm just what? Help.
Anything else?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Besides that, Android is actually cheaper than Apple.
Well, they're also hard to use. And everything is ugly.
Every Android is different.
What I've heard about them is
beautiful.
that they it seems like they take a really long time to load up or something. That's what I heard
That depends on the
about them.
internet.
Well, the rumor is that they're slower, so yeah.
I believe it. I think that's all we have for this topic today. The Alchemist Show will be right back after this very important message.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry,
someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, the Alchemist Show is back with another discussion topic. I'm Jackson.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Becca.
And today, we are going to be talking about Eastern and Western cultures. For those of you who don't know, Eastern cultures would be specifically North and South America. You know, like Canada, the United States, and also Mexico and stuff like that. And Eastern would be to the other side, including countries like Asia. Well, actually, Asia's a continent, but Asia and the countries like Japan, China, Afghanistan. Even Russia could be considered an Eastern country.
Probably these cultures vary differently, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, because isolation, people tend to come with their own ideals, and those can, unless by sheer luck, they tend to contrast. So we're going to be talking about, you guessed it, the differences. Like, first of all, compared to Eastern cultures, Western cultures give more of an approach on the individual. Like, anyone would tell you, you are special, you are unique. But in Eastern society, there's more of a collective approach. It's not the individual person that's given credit, it's the group. Like, they wouldn't say, wow, that's a great programmer. They would say, this is a great team who designed this game. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I can see why they would, like, in the Western, they would be, like, more respectful to their individual, you know, the whole be yourself train thing. But then in, like, Eastern cultures, they probably more focus on the one family part of it. Like, they're not saying you're not special, it's just you're just part of another person.
Do you think credit should be given to the individual or the team? Or do you think maybe a bit of both?
Probably both. I mean, if it's one whole group, they should all get credit, but sometimes you really need to focus on the individual.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything interesting?
I read a little bit about assuming power in both cultures. In Western culture, you see, you know, presidents and elections and stuff like that. But in Eastern cultures, you see a lot of dictatorships and stuff like that.
But there are actually other types in developed countries. Like, there's presidents, there's prime ministers.
Now, for some of these, do they view these leaders in the Eastern cultures more like
Sometimes,
how,
depending
like
on where
a religious figure,
yeah.
kind of?
Depending on where you are, there's some that view them as gods and stuff like that.
I wouldn't necessarily say some of them view them religious, more than they do view them with more respect. Like, they'd have to really, really screw up for them to get mad or something, you know? Like, another thing, while we're on the topic of how people are treated, in the East, people are more reserved in general. Like, for example, in Japan, it's considered more polite to bottle up your emotions and wait until you're by yourself rather than just straight up express them, like in the West. And I wonder where that tradition stems from. Do you guys know?
That is something I did not find out.
I really don't know, man.
Like, I know this has to be unhealthy, but still, I think it's interesting how people can view emotions in such different ways.
Yeah, I know, because here in the West, it's, you know, they're more open and saying, oh, yeah, look at me, I'm different from everybody else.
Well, it's not necessarily about being different, it's just expressing your emotions. Like, it's like you wouldn't, if you're sad, you wouldn't just start crying or frowning. You just, if you did feel bad, need to get it out, you'd wait until you were by yourself.
Yeah,
it's not the expression of emotions, it's more like the over-expression, as long as you're not just, and at the same time, just basically, you know, that person who, like, puts on a brave face and you wouldn't know that you're upset unless you're in their personal life.
Yeah.
It's like, that's most of the East. And while we're in the topic of traditions, the East, and honestly, I found this one kind of hard to believe given our current political climate, pays more attention to tradition than the West. Like, sure, I'm not saying they're not open-minded, but they just embrace tradition more than the West, which looks more to new ideals. A good example would be how people in the East, like, well, specifically Asian countries, tend to bow and stuff, so, yeah. As you could say, there's plenty of differences between the East and West.
Okay, so how about another topic? I think we researched movies versus source material.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing both.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, movies versus the source material. You know, everyone complains about how movies are not like the books, and how the book's always better than the movie, but...
Yeah, but there have been some really good ones out there. Like Becca has mentioned, like what was yours? Like The Lord of the Rings or something?
The first 3 in particular. I haven't seen any of the other ones, but the first 3 I think were really good.
Yeah, I've heard from the like Hobbit sense of why they tried to stretch out the book too much into 3 movies, because The Hobbit was only 1 book. Now, like there has been some really good ones, as I said before, like namely the Hunger Games and all those. But you know, then later on you would come across, and these are notable, the Twilight book series, which actually didn't even start off well to begin with, and once they were turned into movies, bottom of the barrel of bad.
Well, the thing is, it's not that movies are necessarily worse. It's just we have certain standards for movies. We have to expect them to be in a certain amount of time, presented in a certain way, based on how we present it to people to try and persuade them to come here. And to be fair, I don't feel like that's a good judgment on whether or not it's like the book, because there have been some movies that are a lot better, that are, well, not necessarily a lot better, but really good, despite deviating from the source material, like The Shining. You're not looking at it as a movie if you compare it to the book. You're looking at it as an adaptation, and a good adaptation and a good movie aren't necessarily one and the same.
Like, did Stephen King not even like the movie because of how much they changed the characters?
Well, he didn't like it at first, but then he eventually was like, it's a good movie, but not good as an adaptation.
Yeah, that's true. And you can't include everything from the book into a movie, because I'm gonna be completely honest. Some of the like good books out there just have some really annoying filler, and to that in a movie, it'd just be some pointless scenes.
Well,
in there.
Usually the books are too long than the movies, and and I just don't get why people are so crazy about wanting a book to be just like the movie. Aren't you supposed to go to a movie to get a new experience? If it's just like the book, then you're not getting an experience and essentially just revisiting the book.
Right.
Yeah. And usually Stephen King's books are like, 1,000 pages? So yeah, they're pretty lengthy. And I don't think you'll be able to like make a perfect adaptation of any of those books.
And not to mention that just because they're good books doesn't mean they translate into good films. Like,
yeah.
Sure, while Stephen King has some good movies, you have to admit there are some pretty bad ones. And thank you for listening, and this has been The Alchemist Show.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I feel like if I didn't have anyone to push me, I wouldn't give a bother to do it. I got one milestone down the drain, and now I got to work on the next. I see the future is really bright for me. I feel like it doesn't matter the age, as long as you go back and get it done. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
No one gets a diploma alone. You have more support than you realize. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, I had one thing on my mind. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball every chance I could. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn the signs of a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. I'm Paul George. Protect the ones you love. Spot a stroke F-A-S-T. Fast. Life is why. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Hello, and welcome back to The Alchemist Show. On the mic today is Bennett Turner.
And Eric Weibrecht.
Brendan is unfortunately not here today. Rest in peace. He's not really dead, I promise. He's just at a golf meet because he chose golf over us. But that's his decision.
Poor man.
Yeah, he just doesn't know it, man. He's missing out. Anyway, so what we're going to be talking about today is Venice, Italy, of all things. So, Venice is nicknamed the floating city, but recently Venice has been sinking. So, Venice has had this problem for the last few decades since Venice is literally built on a wooden structure. There's a lot of flooding, but they've built their structures in the past to, combat this. But there's been so much flooding, Venice is starting to sink a little bit. It hasn't been that big of a deal. I mean, obviously, it's still a big deal if the town you live in is sinking, but they haven't been too afraid. They've obviously been, trying to combat this by building a wall around it, but I'll get back to that later. So the reason why they're not freaking out too much is because everyone thought that Venice was just sinking about 0.4 millimeters per year, which that's not too bad. But last year, it was reported that Venice, Italy, has sunken 2 millimeters, 2 to 3 millimeters. And it's just, it's expected to just continue going at that rate. So they're going to have to think of something fast. I don't think their wall approach is really going to work because, first of all, there's been some controversy with the wall. One of the government officials just sort of spent all the money on his own personal needs instead of actually building the wall. So all the money has just disappeared into thin air. So how does that compare to our American government?
I feel like if you build a wall, it's going to sink quicker because a wall compared to the weight of tourists or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's sinking 2 millimeters a second. Oh no, let's build a wall next year. Oh no, wait, we've already tripled that. We're sinking 10 millimeters a second now.
All right, guys. All right, here we go. Venice is sinking, okay? So we're gonna take this raft that we built everything on. We're gonna put bricks on the raft. We're gonna make 10 feet of a wall of bricks, and the bricks are gonna weigh down Venice even more. It's gonna solve all our problems.
Yes.
It's gonna be perfect. Gonna build the wall.
This will solve all of Venice's problems.
It
will disappear.
I didn't even think about that, but technically, if the wall would be around it, it wouldn't be flooding even more because the wall would be preventing it from the water coming in. So they would just have to constantly be building more and more of the wall until they descend into hell. That's just what's gonna happen. Venice is gonna descend into hell, literally and figuratively.
Oh my God.
Rest in peace, Venice. But when it comes to Venice's townspeople, they do not like tourists at all. So, of course, they're blaming tourists on the reason Venice is sinking because Venice has a population of 55,000, but there are more than 60,000 people coming into Italy each day and some stay, right? So that's tons of overcrowding coming in. So I could see how people could think that it's sinking, and it'd make things even more ironic because now more people are going to Italy than ever to see it before it sinks. So it's digging its own grave. But I did some research. It turns out it's not the tourists, unfortunately. It's something about tectonic plates. You know how, and I'm going to get into science junk. Everyone's super pumped about that, I can tell already. Basically, below the crust of the Earth, sometimes, the ground moves, and so if that shifts, it might move down. And so that's what's been happening. So Venice is moving down, and it's sort of moving a bit more to the east. So it's going to be like a Titanic sort of situation, like, when the Titanic sinks on the bottom and it turns vertical and then it falls. Venice is going to be the Titanic all over again, except a town. But I want to talk a bit more about the problem with tourism in Venice. That I already said that 55,000 people live there, but more than the population of people who live there come in every single day. And this is causing living costs to rise because all these people who rent houses are doing it through Airbnb now to attract the tourists. And so basically, everyone in Venice is getting tired of it, so they're just leaving because the prices are getting too much and they can't handle it. So sooner or later, it's going to be no people actually live in Venice, and it's just going to be all Americans going to Venice. It's going to be Disney World. It's going to be Disneyland. Woo! Disney World at Venice. Can't wait. But not only is the actual structure of Venice sinking, I heard the economy's sinking, right, Eric?
It is indeed.
Whoa.
Because of the debt and everything, Italy's debt ratio is the second worst in the Eurozone, behind only Greece. The country's national debt weighs it at roughly 120% the size of its gross domestic product. Or about $2.6 million.
Holy cow.
I'm just kidding. Trillion. But that dizzying figure alone isn't what's causing panic in the marketplace. In fact, there were a time in recent memory when the market wouldn't have thought much of it at all. Italy has shouldered debt to GDP ratio well above 100% for about 20 years now.
Oh my gosh.
thanks largely to a government spending binge way back in the 1980s. In 1999, when Italy officially adopted the euro, its debt to GDP ratio was 126%. And then on top of all the government and the debt, you have the mafia.
Where did that come from? Well, first of all, Italy is screwed because, remember, wasn't there like some sort of big crisis in Greece a couple years back where I literally saw people wheeling in money bags because Greece has gotten, their money has become so worthless, you could just basically burn it with fire. So they were just exchanging it for American money. And, oh man, I remember just Greece was in such a bad place that it was causing the rest of the world's economy to fall as well. So saying that the only person that's worse than you is Greece is basically saying like, I don't know, this food is really bad, but at least it's not dirt. Like, what kind of comparison is that? I mean, Greece doesn't even count. Greece is a wasteland in Europe. Hope we don't have any European listeners. What, would we even? I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Maybe not.
But on top of that, just bam, mafia. Just the mafia's there. You just throw that in there.
It's just like a slap across the face. You already got one side of the cheek, so you just got to take your backhand and you smack the other. And it's
Yeah,
just
I got a mafia slap, like a pimp slap sort of thing. It just, oh
Well-
yeah, Italy has $2.6 trillion in debt, not to mention the mafia.
For all that we know, the government money on their spendings, unquote. Maybe they were just bringing the mafia, and they're just like, hey guys, why don't you come over here, help us out a little bit.
Yeah, all the money they spent on the wall, they just gave to the mafia. I was like, here, take some of this.
Take some of this, get rid of some of these tourists.
Yeah, get down Corleone, you gotta take care of them, bust open the kneecaps. That's a reference to The Godfather.
Maybe they were just trying to get rid of the tourist with the mafia.
Yeah. If they won't go away, we're gonna have to make them go away. The floating city, the ocean turns a dark red. And then all you see is people walking around in tuxedos and bowler hats. It's just all the mafia. Mafia Disney World.
Oh my gosh.
Disney World just for the mafia. Like you go up to a concession stand. I was like, "What do you want to order? You talking to me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You talking to me? What do you want to eat? Some Funyuns? We don't got no Funyuns here. It's Venice, Italy. What are you talking about? Stop talking to me. Get out of here." They both pull out their guns. I was like, "Oh, something's happening." And then by the end of the day, all of Disney World is just a big thing of bullets. Is this racist?
I hope not. I hope not. I hope not.
You know all Italians are not like this. The disclaimer, we apologize to all 0 Italians listening. Just
my gosh.
in the distance, they feel like some high school podcast is making fun of us right now. They can just feel it like spidey senses. We messed up. We're going to get shot down and killed by tomorrow.
Oh
It's
my
a good
gosh.
thing Brennan isn't here. Brennan
Oh
dodged
my-
a bullet on that one. He's just golfing, having fun, not being chased by the mafia. Well, before we die, I think we should probably just cut it off here before we bring some other gang into this.
Yeah.
So, this is the last episode of The Alchemist Show with Eric and Bennett. Rest in peace. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back after these important messages.
What are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, Another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes. Another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger. 2 if you're very overweight. And 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes.
Hi, the Alchemist Show is back with another discussion topic. This time, it's on driverless cars. On mic this time is Molly Wood.
Caleb Comte.
And Robert Gaddis.
I'm here to talk about is a vehicle that is capable of sensing its environment and navigating without human input, but automated cars are not fully permitted to drive itself. It still needs a human in case of a malfunction or something. Among the potential benefits of automated cars is a significant reduction in traffic collisions, resulting injuries, and lower need for insurance. Automated cars could also reduce labor costs, relieve travelers from driving and navigation chores, replacing behind-wheel commuting hours with more time for leisure or work. Tesla, one of the car manufacturers, although capable of fully automated driver to remain alert and ready to take over at any moment. Tesla would have 8 surround cameras provide 360-degree visibility around the car up to 250 meters of range. 12 updated ultra-resonant sensors complement to this vision, allowing for detection of both hard and soft objects at nearly twice the distance of the prior system.
That's a lot of technology, but yet in Tempe, Arizona, a self-driving Uber vehicle crashed when a car failed to yield, and the autonomous SUV hit it and rolled to its side. At the time, there was a person in it, so they weren't harmed, but it's hard to say if they had anything to do with the crash or not. Arizona is really the only area where driverless vehicles are permitted, but there's still got to be people in it, and it's more of an Uber thing. They're permitted there, but the crash could potentially delay the full implementation for a material period of time.
That's why it's delayed, or that's why we don't have like fully automated cars yet, because
they're not perfect.
Not yet.
But yeah, a car got hit and it rolled to its side, and there was a guy in it. But since he was the only person in there, they don't really know if he had anything to do with the crash or not. So it's hard to say.
He didn't get hurt, did he?
No.
Lucky.
Yeah, I guess. Except he was in an automated car and it got rolled over, so that sucks.
I'm going to be talking about it. My driverless cars. Basically, what this is a vehicle that is very robotic. As of February 2017, they can't be on public roads, and it will be a few months until they are active on the public roads.
Probably because somebody crashed.
These types of vehicles date back to the 1920s and 1930s. They have been used in films like Batman, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Terminator 3, and Demolition Man. Also, TV shows like CSI, Black Mirror, and South Park.
Another thing about driverless cars is that even though we trust a lot of technology with like personal information, or we trust a lot of technology with our lives, but cars is, I guess, a lot more harder to trust just because.
I feel like it's a risk.
It's a lot higher risk because you'll die and you'll probably kill a lot of other people.
Die.
Good.
I think it's a cool idea. Like, I feel like the idea of a driverless car is cool, but I don't feel like that's...
We're ready for it yet.
Yeah, it's not really necessary, and people are already getting hurt, well, you didn't get hurt, but, still not really...
Even though it will reduce a lot of the accidents and stuff, but a lot of people just prefer driving themselves.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't trust a car. I mean, like, that's a big old machine you're putting your body in. I don't know.
Yeah, but it'll protect you.
Yeah, I don't know. Will it? It didn't that time. I don't know.
Any more discussion, Robert?
No, I can't think of anything right now.
Are we last? Sure. I don't know if we're last or not, and I don't want to do the mistake as last time.
You're not last.
Thank you. Hi. I think that's all we have for today. We'll be right back after the support message.
Dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You know what really gets a party started? Indoor baseball. Yeah, just find a broom or a pool cue, and you can use like anything as a ball. Cans, bottles, shoes.
Hey bro, toss me that avocado.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. At the corner, we waited to cross the street. The stoplight counted down. 15, 41, 31, 13. We took a left on Carroll Garden Street. Garden Street? Loud music was coming from a car. Danny's a smart kid, but he gets so distracted. There were so many other sounds, I didn't know what to focus on. Danny, Earth to Danny. Suddenly he realized he forgot his homework again. I left my homework on the table. At the school steps, we hugged goodbye. I really hope he doesn't have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And we are back again. It is me, Eric.
And Bennett.
And today we're going to talk about things that we have broken. And
it's a very broad subject, like bones, property, the law,
items.
Yeah, is that really why Brendan left? Because he's a secret criminal and didn't want to expose himself. Must be why. That's why he's pulling like Tiger Woods, going out being a pro golfer.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, good old Tiger Woods.
All right, I'm going to talk about one of my experiences. This was my freshman year. So about 3-ish years ago, me and some friends, we were in the weight room, and my friends kept messing with me, trying to get me on one of the leg presses.
Oh boy.
And I finally got on, and they started putting weights on, and it was easy, so they kept putting more and more on until it filled with 45s, and there was 10 of them on there. And I was still going strong, and they took off all the weights and started putting on 100-pounders. They kept adding more and more, and then the last thing I knew, there was 1,000 pounds on the bench.
Eric.
Yes.
That's how people die. Eric.
And I was wrapping it, and our coach comes in and starts scolding us. Whenever I say scolding,
why.
I mean scolding us. But
you could die.
the reason he was scolding us for isn't like what everybody's thinking. Hey, you had 1,000 pounds in there. You were trying to kill yourself. No. He comes in there and he starts scolding us, and he's like, it was just funny because he was all worried about the bar. Not about me. He's like, you're gonna bend me weight bar.
You're gonna bend the bar.
He takes out the weights, and before we know it, we look at the bar, and it's almost in half.
Jeez.
And he's like, you bent me bar.
You bent me bar. How
Like-
dare you?
Like, I don't know if we should have just noticed that he had the accent or not, and then he was like, and he looked like he was pissed off, but at the same time he was trying so hard not to laugh. But then, where he sit there after scolding us for like 20 minutes, he just switches the bar out with the brand new one, and then he just starts laughing, and we're like, "Why were you yelling at us because we bent the bar?" And he's like, "I don't know, I just
just
wanted
got
to yell
punked."
at you. I just wanted to yell at you." And I'm like, we're like freaking out. We're like, "Why? Why? You just switched it out for nothing. I mean, like." Why did you yell at us for about bending the bar in the first place?
Little did you know that your gym teacher is a hardcore prankster. He has like a prank channel on YouTube. Well, welcome to PHS Pranks. Today I'm going to prank my students into thinking they broke my property and then I'm going to have to make them pay thousands of dollars and have them go to jail. You just got pranked. Look at the hidden cameras over there.
That is a bear. No, it's not. It's a camera. It's a bear. It is a camera. Picks it up. There is literally nothing inside. It's a camera.
I wouldn't even try to pick up a bear. But anyway, well, first of all, I'm glad you're alive. That's very good news because that you could have like broken your kneecaps or something like that. But that's like it's like show off. You're like buff, dude. Like. I'm just glad you're
You'd
still
be
here.
surprised on how much you could do. Any human being loading up. Think about this. How much you weigh, your legs can already do that every single day. For instance, you weigh 150 pounds. Every single day, your legs are carrying 150 pounds.
Nice. So I could say I can press 100 pounds, and then I could put that on some sort of dating profile, and they see me, and like I'm just all scrawny, and I have nothing.
Oh my god.
So you're gonna call me?
I can do 100 pounds.
Whoa! Look at me go! Oh, I'm so strong. Oh. So buff. Catching me up on OkCupid, head of my profile.
Has 2 10-pounders on the bench. Wow!
Oh, look at me go! Like those 1-pounders that are like purple colored and like they're plastic. It's like, I am Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I am on fire.
I am the Terminator and the governor of California. So. I might as well. That actually reminds me of a different of a story that's kind of similar. With your teacher saying, oh, you're gonna break the bar, not caring about the actual person.
You're gonna bend me bar.
You're gonna bend me bar. But I had this old band teacher. He went to a different school recently, but basically it was my freshman year, and there's this really stupid guy on the bass. Basically, my freshman year, it was hey, there's this one kid who isn't good at anything. He sucks at the French horn, so let's just throw him on drumline, right?
Right.
And we're like, great. I'm just gonna give you a sentence so you can figure out what kind of person he is. On our parade, right before we started, he said, "Oh, dude, I left one of my mallets in the band room." So he had one bass mallet the entire time of the performance. He just left one at home. It's like, oh, I left my reed to my saxophone at the band room. Whoops. Like, how do you forget that? But yeah, so he was that kind of guy. So he,
Looks like I forgot my trumpet. I got my mouthpiece though.
Oh, I'm so good. Sign me up to the DCI bands. I'm making it big, boys. I'm gonna play at the football game. But so obviously, if he didn't care about the French horn, he does not care about bass drum either. But he was. He had one of the bigger bass drums. I don't know why we thought he would be capable of doing that. But he decided instead of taking the stairs down a hill, he just wanted to go down the hill, and it just rained, so the grass was slick. So he slipped and fell, right? And his carrier and his drum hit him right on his crotch area, and so he shouted, "My balls!" right? And nobody cared. Nobody cared. Like 5 minutes, he was just laying there. I mean, I was a freshman, so I was like, oh my gosh, this poor guy. And I walked up to him and I was like, you're okay? And he was just like, oh my God. And so finally, 5 minutes later, a teacher finally shows up and he was like, is the bass drum okay? And he was like, yeah. And it's like, okay. And he walks away. So props to him. Props to that band teacher. But speaking of things I've broken and speaking of band, I have broken a bass drum before in band, and it's gonna haunt me forever because it actually happened last year. It was a drumline practice, right? Drumline camp, and I wanted to see how the bass drum part worked. I just wanted to see how it would be played. So I was looking at it, and since I was always so used to playing the snare drum, I would lean back away from the snare drum and sit down when I was done. But what I forgot is that the bass drums are lined up in a line all behind me, and I step back to sit down. I'm like, wait, and I hear a bass drum get hit, I hear the bass drum hit the other bass drum, and I hear the bass drum hit the other bass drum. I knocked down 3 bass drums. And then I'm freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do this. I just wanted to learn how to play the bass drum. I was so sad. And it turns out I broke one of the heads. And the worst part was that the heads just got tightened, like just got added on and bought 2 weeks ago. And so it was our first time playing them, and I broke one of them. Oh, I swear I was wanting to quit band. And then the next day, the drum tech was like, you know, you only get one warning that when something like this happens, you better not be horsing around. I was like, I just wanted to learn. I wanted to be a good kid and be smart and fruitful with my knowledge of music. But I break things. And bass drum was the only thing I broke that year. Let's just say last year was my worst experience in marching band. Oh boy. And fast forward to the last performance of the year. So it's always this one where when it gets to the last performance, you know, all tensions are high. We want to perform the best we can. And it was really cold. And I always like to get ready early because I don't want to get ready until the last minute, you know, so they don't walk without me. So I have my bass drum on and I'm just sort of bouncing to try to stay warm. And I do this all the time. And I have the carrier tightened and everything's okay. But we've had our carriers for our snare drums for like 6 years. So I heard something snap. And then I saw my snare drum fall off my carrier. And I hear a thud. And I'm like, great. Oh, this is great. It was literally right before we were going to walk onto the stage. And I'm just like, why does this happen to me? I was so upset. And I picked up the snare. And I put it back on. The carrier still worked, but just like it was holding on by like one half of it, which is perfectly fine, but just it snapped off. And one of my friends came up to me and was like, hit the drum. And I hit it, and it sounded like crap. And I was like, are the snares off? And I said, no. The bottom of the head was completely destroyed, and the snares were all over the place. So Mr. Childers, my band teacher, was like, I guess you'll just have to pretend to play. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't care if it sounds like I'm playing on a bongo that's been thrown down 3 flights of stairs. I'm going to play. But luckily, he got a hold of the school that was hosting it, and he gave me a snare drum to use. That was very nice. I still felt like crap the entire time. But I think this year of marching band went a lot better for me. So, what other horrible stories have you got?
You could have been like my section leader on my freshman year. It was the last game, and he wasn't too happy with his trombone.
Oh no.
He was walking, and a guy walked right in front of him, and it bent his slide.
Oh no.
Right before the game, right before the football game, his
Oh
last
my
performance.
God. Holy
Couldn't
crap.
have not have messed up or anything, but he got really, really, really pissed off. And it was like right back at the Olympics again. He ran, he lifted the trombone up, and he threw it like a javelin.
All right, here comes Bobby McGee with the Olympics, and here we go. It's
And he threw it at the bleachers, and it became a cube.
All right, javelin toss of the century. America all comes down to this, and here's the toss. The trombone is flying. It's a world record, 80 feet into the bleachers. God, like, okay, what's the point of that though? Like,
Well, I mean, like he couldn't use it anymore. It was gone. It was done for.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he didn't want
just
it.
get a new slide, or is it?
You're talking like $100, $200 though.
Okay, well then, yeah, I see the point then. That'll make me upset too. But what about any other stories you have? Well, I have one more story that I'm going to tell, and I don't care. It's a really important story to me. But it's just that I'm afraid to say it because I don't know if it's going to be illegal or not. It's kind of strange, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not really illegal, but so basically, another thing with drumline is just basically drumline has been awful to me. But I was going to have a nice little pizza party, right? It was going to celebrate the end of the band thing, saying goodbye to this year. It was really heartfelt, and I was going to order some pizzas. I ordered some pizzas. We're all going to have a fun time. And so, what could possibly go wrong? What is the worst that could happen, right? Well, you see, when we were done eating pizza, we got bored. And so, let's say we said, hey, or I didn't say it, but one of my friends said, hey, let's go to this big pile of dirt over there. And so, yeah, we just run to this big pile of dirt. But little did I know that this dirt was connected to, I guess, or affiliated with this sort of army base. It was more sort of like a nonprofit organization to help out army people. But, I mean, it's not going to be vandalism because, I mean, it's dirt, right? So we just start messing around in a big pile of dirt. But then we find these bars of steel, right? And we start messing with those. And my friend grabs a really big one and says, hey, Bennett, you get on one and then you get on the other. I'm going to see if I can lift you guys. Like, trying to be all buff. We're going back to the beginning with bending the bar. It all comes full circle. I'm bending. Oh, I just spoiled it, yeah. But, so we both get on the bar and he starts lifting it up and it bends. And so this is a steel bar that belongs to an army facility. And so we're like, okay, let's walk away now. So we walk away, and now I'm paranoid. I'm freaking out. I call my mom and was like, okay, I need to get home now. And it's like, what happened? I just need to get home. But it was just scrap metal. It wasn't a big deal. I haven't been, contacted by the police saying, you're going to the pound, buddy. It's been a long, hard time. Think about what you've done.
I think your phone's ringing.
What do you mean? Yeah. Oh God, it's the fuzz. It's the mafia. Oh no, it's Don Corleone. But and I went there the other day and the bar is still there, and I just had PTSD. I'm like, so I guess it wasn't that big of a deal apparently. So all is well. I broke something from a government facility. That's all I have to say. So I'll see you guys in jail. This is the last episode with me. Thank you very much for having me. This has been the Alchemist Show. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. This is the show.